Beneath the emerald green waves of the Bay of Douarnenez, off the jagged coast of Brittany, rests a story written in stone and sea salt. This is the legend of Ker Ys. Ancient lore describes it as a terrestrial heaven of marble palaces and a bustling harbor that served as a commercial powerhouse, a city that eventually transformed into a haven of dark indulgence. To protect this harbor from the brutal Atlantic, the city relied on a massive engineering wonder, a singular, sprawling coastal dike system. The city's safety shared a single point of failure. According to the Chronicles, the golden key to the floodgates was worn around the neck of King Gradlon at all times, making him the sole guardian of the sea gates. The inciting incident of the myth is an act of betrayal. While the king slept, his daughter, Princess Dahut, stole the key to open the massive bronze sea gates for a dark stranger, inviting the ocean to consume the city. At this point, the legend shifts from a story of human failure into a terrifying account of complete natural devastation. The freezing sea violently reclaimed the capital. Folklore describes a horrifying chase as massive black waves pursued King Gradlon through the crumbling streets of the sinking city. To save the king from the rising water, Saint Gwenole struck Princess Dahut with his staff, casting her into the sea. She was swallowed by the waves, condemned to live forever as a Morgan, a sad, immortal sea siren. For centuries, Breton fishermen treated this as a sacred mystery. They claimed they could hear the faint underwater chiming of the sunken city's bells, treating the legend as a religious cautionary tale about the consequences of sin. We have to ask if the fall of Ys is strictly an allegorical ghost story or the embellished historical record of a catastrophic coastal collapse. The earliest written versions of the cataclysm are preserved in the 5th century hagiographies of the Breton saints, which documented the real-life evangelist Saint Gwenole. In this era, the Church frequently weaponized real natural disasters, reframing floods or seismic events as divine punishment brought upon a sinful population. However, a different perspective emerged in the 15th century Chronicles et Histoires de Bretons. This specific chronicle treats Ys not as a fable, but as a documented geopolitical heavyweight in early medieval France, a real capital with a bustling harbor. The fact that this city's sudden disappearance was recorded in major regional chronicles suggests that the loss of a real physical entity was felt as a significant event throughout the territory. When we strip away the supernatural elements, the fabled seawalls look like a representation of authentic, large-scale Breton coastal engineering. This schematic outlines the vulnerability. The golden key and the massive sea gates represent a single point of failure in the city's infrastructure, a narrow choke point that held back the entire Atlantic. The demonic stranger and the stolen key may be a historical allegory for a calculated breach of this exact choke point, whether through sabotage or a flaw in the engineering itself. The removal of that single defense allows the ocean to bypass the wider dike system, leading to the rapid, uncontrollable flooding of the lower elevation city described in the texts. This suggests that the curse of Ys was likely the memory of a catastrophic engineering failure or a breach of defenses, later mythologized to explain the trauma of the loss. In the 21st century, we are moving past mariner superstitions. The era of the fisherman listening for bells has given way to the marine geophysicist. Scientists are currently scanning the Bay of Douarnenez using a technique called sub-bottom profiling. This process uses acoustic pulses to look beneath the shifting Breton sands. It allows researchers to map the composition of the lighters hidden under the seabed. Data allows researchers to distinguish between natural, jagged rock formations and the unnatural right angles characteristic of man-made structures. This technology is forcing the bay to surrender the physical data of what rests beneath the waves, showing evidence of massive architecture buried in the sand. The physical evidence is now surfacing along the coast, aligning with the sonar data. During extreme low tides, vast stone grids and rectangular foundations sit exposed on the wet beach sand. These stone grids are accompanied by heavy, oxidized artifacts, like this green corroded metal hinge fused to a stone block. These are the physical markers of monumental engineering battered by the tides. Ys is shifting from a moral fable into a documented site of ancient, advanced maritime engineering. The discovery of these structures confirms that a major settlement once existed where the legend placed it. As the physical truth of the Celtic Atlantis resurfaces, the most haunting part of the legend isn't the myth itself, but the confirmed reality that a major metropolis could vanish so abruptly into the sea. Look out across the Bay of Douarnenez today, and you'll see a quiet, picturesque stretch of the French coastline. But this calm surface masks a historically volatile environment. Over the last 2 millennia, the southern Breton coast has been subjected to relentless natural erosion, with the Atlantic Ocean quietly consuming entire inland landscapes. It is from these vanishing shores that the legend of Ker Ys was born, a prosperous, legendary city said to have been swallowed whole by the very waters that we see today. For centuries, the tale lived in the pages of medieval hagiographies and oral tradition. But understanding the reality of this coast requires empirical proof. That search for proof has shifted from dusty archives to marine geology labs. Here, researchers rely on deep-sea core samples and hard coastal science rather than ancient lore. Scientists are now searching for verifiable, physical evidence of a submerged civilization hidden beneath the bay's sediment. The first breakthrough came from the French Research Institute for Exploration of the Sea, Ifremer, during an extensive expedition to map the bay's shifting sandbanks. This topographical map shows the results of deep-water bathymetric scanners. Charting chaotic, natural reefs hidden 40 feet below the surface, the instruments picked up something unexpected. Resting on the seabed were massive, perfectly straight geometric formations, whose 90-degree angles do not align with natural patterns. Subsequent underwater exploration provided the physical confirmation. When remotely operated vehicles cleared away the centuries of silt, they found massive blocks of deliberately cut granite. Based on their incredible scale and linear arrangement, archaeologists identified these ruined stone blocks as the collapsed remains of ancient seawalls or immense harbor breakwaters. The Ifremer's empirical mapping provided a tangible physical foundation for the coastal dikes described in the legends of Ker Ys. Guided by the bathymetric maps, specialized marine archaeologists narrowed their focus. They organized targeted dive operations in the shallow, tidal waters near the modern town of Douarnenez. This was a difficult manual excavation, requiring researchers to navigate a freezing, murky environment where the shifting tides constantly obscured the seabed. Beneath the cold waves, they unearthed the preserved remains of a sprawling industrial complex featuring a network of stone garum vats and salt-curing facilities. Artifacts recovered from the site allowed archaeologists to date these ruins precisely to the 4th and 5th centuries, the exact timeline attributed to the legend of the city. This vast processing center produced garum, one of the most valuable commodities in the Roman world, marking the location as a massive maritime trading hub. The fabled wealth of King Gradlon's court is reflected here, not in gold, but in the immense profits of a global industrial export center. Identifying the city is just the first step. To understand its end, we have to look for the specific mechanism that destroyed the port. To find out, researchers deployed high-resolution airborne LiDAR over the coastal waters, penetrating the shallows to map the exact fault lines and topography of the ancient bay. Following the topographic maps, marine geochemists extracted deep sediment cores directly from the submerged ruins. They subjected these samples to advanced mass spectrometry, looking for an isotopic flood strata, a specific chemical signature that could define the timeline of destruction. This diagram illustrates the sediment cores. Resting on a dark freshwater layer is a sudden deposit of oceanic sand and saltwater minerals. Look at the sharp boundary. This abrupt 5th century stratification proves the ocean didn't arrive through gradual erosion. It arrived all at once. The geochemical data points to a singular, catastrophic event, a massive, non-tidal storm surge that tore the stone coastline apart in a matter of hours. The legendary curse of Ker Ys was a measurable geological event. The coastline simply collapsed under the sheer kinetic weight of the Atlantic Ocean. Ker Ys is no longer just a ghostly fable. It is a site documented through the precise tools of marine archaeology and paleoclimatology. Its discovery demonstrates that ancient folklore often serves as an oral record of genuine historical and climatic trauma. Beneath the pristine, quiet waters of the bay lies a real human cost. The modern coastline now serves as a silent monument to a thriving civilization swallowed by the sea. The Atlantis of Brittany was undeniably real. And the evidence of its existence has been hiding in the chemical makeup of the mud for 1,500 years.